So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women. 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks. I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we here.
Jim Cathcart, how are you doing?
I'm thrilled.
I am honored to be in your presence. I'm so excited that you are here.
Thing to say. Thank you.
I mean it from the bottom of my heart, and I'm
you.
excited because today Jim and I are talking about goal setting mastery. Okay, and I'm excited because I've heard your story, and I'm excited to share parts of it with the Thrivers, and you can hear his story on different episodes. But you were somebody that kind of learned the power of goal setting at a specific time in your life, and it's impacted you.
Yeah. I was in my 20s when I first got exposed to the whole idea that you can make a difference in your own life. Because I grew up expecting not to.
Right.
You know, I expected an ordinary life. I was going to be a nice loser, basically.
Yeah.
Guy next door, overweight, out of shape, not particularly well off financially, but a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
that was the plan.
I know
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of people are able to relate to. The mindset change has got to be the first thing. What blew my mind was I did some research and I actually found a little mystic statistic for you guys. All right, so I'm going to read this statistic. It's actually from Inc. magazine, and it's from an article titled "7 Habits of the World's Richest People." Right? So this is what it says. 67% of the richest people were cognizant of and careful about how they spent their time.
Cognizant of, meaning aware,
Yep.
and careful about.
Yep.
So they were selective in how they used their
Very
time.
selective, cognizant of and careful about how they spent their time. For instance, TV watching was limited to less than 1 hour per day. But what's interesting is data from the Nielsen report shows that the average American watches 5 hours of TV a day. What is
Wow.
this?
Well,
is
that
this amazing
immediately
to you?
puts you in the top 20% just by the numbers.
Yeah,
You know?
it does.
Yeah.
How much of that? I mean, we're going to dive into.
Well, it's all about who's controlling your thoughts.
Right.
You, or the people that are getting really, really well paid by you to do what they do. You know?
That's a good point right there. What I like.
Yeah. You sit in your living room, right? Consuming food that you've purchased, watching these people and paying for the privilege to do so,
Right.
and they're making a screaming living. You know, they're really doing well in many cases.
Right.
And how much are you making?
Right.
In round numbers?
Right.
What's the roundest number you know? Think of a round number.
Oh gosh, maybe a 0.
That's the one. That's exactly how much we're making when we're sitting and watching
Yeah,
TV.
exactly.
So, and I watch a lot of TV, but I don't watch that much TV.
And I'm
I'm also very intentional about my
exactly
use.
Right. That goal setting. So we've got 5 specific steps, okay? I'm going to go through the 5 steps real quick, and then I'm going to go by one and have you do a deep dive into it. So here we go. Step number 1 is write down and set specific goals with outcomes. Step number 2, break down those big goals into small, detailed, and specific action steps. Step number 3, set a deadline to complete those action steps. Step number 4, tenaciously take action to complete those small action steps every day. Step number 5, when stuck, look for a mentor to avoid mistakes. All right, you ready?
When in doubt, reach out.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. Let's dive on in, do a deep dive here. Number 1, we're going to write down and set specific goals with outcomes. Go ahead and, I feel like you're about to light a truth cannon here. Why do we have to write it down?
Because if you don't write it down, you're not committing.
Okay.
See, they call that committing it to paper.
Okay.
That's what, if you make an agreement, they say, let's commit this to paper.
Okay.
Why do they call it commit? Because it indicates through behavior that you are actually serious about this. You're not just, they say, oh, well, I was just talking about it. Right. What's the difference? Talking, writing. Writing is seen as official, as important, as confirmed, as agreed to.
Okay.
Whereas discussion is just seen as sound. Now, that's not necessarily the case, but that's the way it's perceived in our society.
Okay.
And so on a subtle level, we're very, very conscious of that. When we write something down, we feel more invested in it.
Okay.
Because there's been a physical action to connect it with the thinking.
Okay.
When we just talk about it, unless that talking ends up in an agreement of some sort with some firm indication of what I'm going to do, what you're going to do or not do, then it was just an entertaining discussion. So that's why we need it written down. And a goal that's general, like I want to be happy, to be healthy, and to have all the money I need.
Right.
What?
Yeah,
well, how do you hit that goal?
Right.
That's like I want the sky. I'm going to hit the sky.
Right.
Bang! Ha!
Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
Nothing, no value whatsoever.
Okay.
So everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody wants to have plenty of money. Everybody wants to help other people. Fine, wonderful, but be specific.
Okay.
How do you want to help other people? I want to be a doctor and alleviate suffering. Now we're getting somewhere. Write that down.
I like how you also said, because the other part of it is to specifically define the outcome.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you don't, if you just say, I just want to help people.
Right.
There's no starting point. How do you get started on that goal? I don't know, help someone. Okay, I'll hold the door for her.
Right.
Well, fine, but I could have gotten a little prop that would do that.
Yeah,
I could have automated the door.
Now?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to make a difference, be specific in how you'd like to make a difference.
Okay.
But, this is a big but, be sure that you do not require yourself to know how to achieve the goal before you write the goal, or as you write the goal.
Okay, wait, say that again. That was good.
Be sure, be absolutely certain that you do not require yourself to know how to pull it off before you put it in writing. So write down what you want when you want it.
Okay.
Okay? Then figure out how to get it done. Because that's the way the world works, the universe works.
Because I'm guessing if you do that, you're limiting yourself.
Well, let's take an example.
Limiting what you can actually achieve.
No, that's not quite it.
Okay.
Let's say you buy a blue Jeep.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Jeep automobile. All right? You bought a blue Jeep. The minute you buy a blue Jeep, you will start seeing more blue Jeeps on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Are there more blue Jeeps on the road?
Yeah.
There's one more, yours.
Right.
But that's all.
Right.
Everything else was already there, but
Okay.
you didn't notice it before. That's known as selective perception.
Okay.
Your mind selects what it will perceive. Here's another way to do the same thing. If you next time you go to a sporting event or a concert, get in a position where you can see the audience, where you can see all the fans in a fully lit way. because this wouldn't work in the dark. And while you're looking at all those fans, think red, the color red. And what'll happen is all of a sudden it'll just sort of pop. You go, wow, there's a lot of red out there. Think white. Ding.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you start noticing patterns of white, big groupings of white clothing, you know. And then green, you know, choose your color. Just go through the spectrum and notice how your perception picks up on that just by the mere instruction to yourself to look for black, look for brown.
So how does that then, I think I'm starting to see where you're going.
That's
How
like
does that
goal
relate?
setting.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
goal setting.
See, when you set a goal, you are telling your mind, and you're telling whoever else is communicated with by that, you're telling them, this is what I want.
Okay.
So it's like see red, okay, and all of a sudden you just notice enormous amounts of red.
Right.
It's like get a blue Jeep, and all of a sudden you say, gosh, there's a blue,
Right.
there's another one. Well, I never realized how many there were.
Right.
And that's the whole point. You never realized it. Reality didn't change. Your perception changed. Why'd your perception change? Because you gave it a reason to. See, when you say, I want to be the president of this hospital, okay, then all of a sudden the world kind of organizes information as it flows toward you. You know, it's actually your mind filtering it
Right.
this way, but it seems like the world is saying, oh, that's what Caleb wants. Well, here, set those aside. Here's what he wants.
Wow.
There. And here's another, and here's another one, you know, and I've got one over here. And all of a sudden, all these things that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise,
Right.
because you weren't tuned to that frequency, you know,
that's
it's another
good.
metaphor using the radio frequency analogy. When you tune to that frequency, you get all the channel programming.
That's so good.
But the channel was already there. It was going through the air all around you. You just didn't tune into it.
Right.
All right?
Right.
So you say, I want to be the president of a hospital. Okay, which hospital? All right, got it. Now, what do you need to know?
Right.
Do I need to be a doctor? No. Oh,
That's good.
president of a hospital is an administrator, not a doctor. Oh, okay, so I don't have to go to med school. Whew. Well, that's shortened the curve. Okay, what do I need to know?
Hopefully we just helped somebody and saved you some time there.
I need to know how to manage doctors.
Yeah.
I need to know how to work with a
Yep.
board full of doctors.
Yep.
Doctors need to like me.
Yep.
Because if they don't, I'm going to have difficulty. Wow.
True.
So I need to understand doctors,
This
but I
is
don't have to be
huge.
one.
This is-
So that's the whole thing. Choose, you know, we can pick them out of thin air here and
That's so
fabricate a
good.
goal, and just discussing that goal organizes information in a very different way
Yeah.
and starts showing you the path.
Okay.
Just a second.
Yeah,
Did you
this
see
is-
the movie The Legend of Bagger Vance?
I didn't know.
It was, what's his name? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith. He played the Bagger Vance
Right.
character.
Okay.
In that movie,
Yeah.
they were playing golf, of course.
Right.
And he taught a technique of visualization
Okay.
where the golfer would get into a mindset, and all of a sudden, of course they can do this with cameras and everything, the whole scenery would change. He's looking down a fairway, and all of a sudden, the only thing you can see is the most direct path to the hole. And that's when the guy would swing. And of course, his game was wonderful.
Right.
And when he didn't have that experience, that focus of attention, then he'd go all over the course. Same thing's true here.
Gosh. Everybody just be careful. This is mind-blowing content right here. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
don't hurt yourself.
This is so good, though. The specific action item is you've got to write a specific goal
Yeah.
and the outcome. And then now it's time to actually start. You don't have to know how to do it.
Yeah, but the biggest problem, did I say it was the biggest problem?
This seems like a big problem.
Yeah, is that the vast majority of people think, I've got to know how to achieve my goal
Right.
if I'm going to set the goal. No!
So good.
No, as a matter of fact, shouldn't
That's so
know
good.
how to achieve the goal. If so, you're setting a goal too low.
Wow.
Get a goal that's worthy of you.
That's good.
And you're worthy of a lot more than you usually give yourself credit for. So get a goal that excites and thrills you, and you think, wow, yeah, if only. And then you go to work. That's how you change the world. That's how you make your life transform. How you make a difference that people talk about for generations after you're gone.
Jim, you're getting me fired up here. You're getting me fired up. Let's do it. Let's go on to step number 2 here. Here we go. Step number 2. The second step is break down those big goals into small, detailed, and specific action steps.
Yeah, because you can't do big action steps.
Okay.
You can only do a specific thing. You know, if I want to go from here to China, I can only take the next step. I can't leap in one big move to China or jump across the Pacific Ocean in one fell swoop. I've got to take each step along the way. I've got to schedule the flights, everything. So any goal is the same way.
Okay.
I want to be a better parent. Well, what does that mean? A better parent in what ways? Well, I want to be more patient with my kids. I want to be more loving for my spouse. I want to be more responsible in taking care of my home and my responsibility. I want to be a better neighbor. I want to blah, blah, blah. Okay, write it down.
Wow.
Because if I say I want to be a better parent or a better neighbor or whatever, and I write it down, then I can start thinking, okay, what do better neighbors do that lousy neighbors don't do?
That's good.
Well, they take care of their yard, they keep their house clean, they respect their neighbor's space, they are friendly toward their neighbors, they anticipate needs, and if they see a weed that's growing in both lawns, they pull the whole weed, not just their half,
So you're thinking, you're advocating writing down goals for every area of life.
Yeah. Well, only for the things you want to happen.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. Good clarification.
Yeah, so anything that's a goal that you don't want to happen, don't bother writing it down. No.
And then once you've got it written down, then you start taking step by step. What does that look like?
Yeah, and let's take something. I mean, you can pull it out of the air if you want to, but something that seems daunting.
I thought parenthood was incredible. I don't think anybody thinks to write down that goal. And if you talk about, I want to be a good parent, that seems daunting.
Yeah, I can see where it would. And for some people, that's a very worthy goal, because think of the positive outcome when you are a good parent. You get well-adjusted kids who are not a threat to the world.
Yeah.
You get, it just goes on and on and on. Parenting, it's one of the most important activities on earth.
But they're all just step by step. That's how you achieve them. That's huge.
But let's say that you and I decided we wanted to form, we wanted to cure cancer.
Okay.
Okay, let's take something we don't know how to get to yet.
Right, okay, right.
All right. If you want to cure cancer, what's the first thing you need? One of the first things you need.
What is it?
I would say know what cancer is.
Okay, true.
Okay, so find out who knows what cancer is.
Right.
And you'll find probably that there's great disagreement among those who think they know what cancer is, because there's not a cancer.
Right.
Like there's a St. Bernard dog.
Right.
Not all dogs fit that. A St. Bernard dog is a St. Bernard dog is a St. Bernard dog, period. Put a keg under its chin and loose it in the Alps, right? Okay, so if we say we want to cure cancer, first thing we've got to do is start finding out, what do people think cancer is?
So then you're breaking it down into those individual little steps.
And what do people know cancer is? So where's their total agreement and where's their disagreement? And consider any of those disagreements might be right.
Right.
And none of them might be right.
Right.
So it might be still something huge missing. But what can we agree on? Aha! Now I know where to get to work.
That's the first step.
Okay, how do I empower a whole lot of this and then experiment with that so that we can get to whatever it is that's the answer out there?
That's huge.
Right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I love it. That's very helpful. So again, we're breaking it down so that you understand how to set the big goals. You got to write it down. You got to have the outcome. It's got to be specific, and then you got to start taking those little steps.
Same thing's true for losing weight.
That's true. And then number 3 here, the third one, is set a deadline to complete those action steps, the small action steps. You have to have deadlines for each of those, you'd say?
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
My colleague Don Hudson, very close friend of mine, speaker and author who wrote a book called Selling Value, among others. Don says, a goal is a dream with a deadline.
A goal is
and
a dream
I love
with a
that.
deadline.
Because if it doesn't have a deadline, it's just a wish. And a wish has no responsibility to it. You didn't achieve your wish. It was a wish, right?
Right.
You didn't achieve your goal. Oops. Yeah, you feel accountable.
Yeah.
You feel like, gee, I had a responsibility. It's interesting. I was talking with a new friend the other day, and I told him I have 2 careers. I've got a career that pays the bills, and I've got a career that makes me feel good. And I love them both.
Yeah.
But he said, what are your careers? And I said, well, I'm a professional speaker and author. I consult with people and coach them and that. And that's my pay the bills career.
Right.
And I love that. He said, what's your other one? I said, playing the guitar and singing in clubs.
Yeah.
He said, the difference, and this is something that hadn't occurred to me. He said, the difference in the two is when you're playing and singing in clubs, you're not accountable for anything. Except that performance, of course. But you're not in charge of anything. You're not responsible for anything. You're just there to provide a service and go away. Interesting observation, because in my other career, I'm totally engaged in and accountable for providing value
Right.
and making a difference,
Right.
not just making people feel good.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I love it.
So when you get specific with these things, you start recognizing there's some responsibility here.
Yeah.
And
Without the deadline, it's just a wish.
that's right. Well, back with our cure cancer analogy.
Right.
If we were to put that as our goal, a deadline would hasten everything else along the way.
Right.
If there is no deadline, it's like a government program.
Yeah.
Until someday it might pay off.
Right.
How much money is that going to cost? I don't know. However much we can get, as long as we can stay in business
Right.
forever.
Right.
They talk about the difference between private enterprise and government
Yeah.
organizations. There was a great illustration that was told in a speech years ago by Rich DeVos,
Okay.
one of the co-founders of Amway Corporation
Yeah.
with Jay Van Andel. He was giving a speech and he said, in Russia, the farms are owned by the country. The government owns the farms because it's communism.
Right.
And they said they did an experiment with a certain region of Russia where they allowed some of the farmers to own their farms.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't have complete outright
Sure,
ownership,
sure.
but they got to benefit in the fruits of their labor directly, like a business owner would.
Right.
And they said the productivity on the small farms that were owned was hugely greater than the government farms. And they thought, well,
Yeah.
what's that about? Same equipment, same ground,
Yeah.
basically, because it's in the same area, same crops. What's the difference? Well, the government farms, the farmers at the end of the day would park the tractor and go to the house and retire for the day.
Right.
The owners put lights on their tractors and kept working.
I love it. I love it. That's
Accountability.
huge. Yeah. And when you're setting these goals, you've got to have that motivation, that
right.
ownership, and a deadline is one
ownership.
of the ways that,
It is. Yeah, it's a form of ownership.
I love it. A deadline is one
ownership.
of the ways that,
It is. Yeah, it's a form of ownership.
I love it. Well, we're on to step number 4 now. Step number
Gee,
4.
I miss the good old days of step number 3, don't you?
No, I'm excited about step number 4. Okay. Step number 4 is tenaciously take action to complete those small action steps every day. So, we've defined it on paper. We've written out the goal and the outcome, the big one, even if we don't know how to get there. Then we start thinking about the small individual steps.
Yep.
Then we set deadlines on those individual steps. And now, with tenacious attitude, we are attacking those action items.
Yeah.
Why is this so important? The word tenacious
Well,
stands out to me.
tenacious is kind of cool because you think about a bulldog.
Okay.
You know how bulldogs got
Yeah.
just really, really powerful jaws.
Yeah.
But what's unique about a bulldog is that when it bites you, when it attacks you, it bites down and never lets go until you die.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That is
the
terrible.
bulldog. You don't pry those puppies
Oh
loose.
my gosh.
They just
Those puppies. I see what you
and
did
they
there.
got you, and that's it.
Yeah.
They own you from that point forward. Unlike a wolf,
Wow.
which is very different in its pattern. A bulldog,
Yeah.
tenacious, right? A wolf or a wolf pack will attack like guerrilla warfare. First thing they'll do is inflict a wound, any wound.
Okay.
Especially if they can get your hamstring or something.
Right.
And I saw this on one of the National Geographic kind of shows. A wolf pack is trailing a group of elk,
Okay.
a herd of elk. And there's one elk that's in the back that's obviously the vulnerable one. And one wolf, not the whole pack, one wolf runs up and just nips it on the back of the leg and then backs off.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think, well, you got him outnumbered. Take him down. You know, no. That's not how nature works. They go up, nip him on the back of the leg, and injure him.
Okay.
So now then he's not only slow, he's slower.
Yeah.
And he's got a secondary problem.
Right.
So now he's attending to his wound and not to defense.
Right.
And the second one comes up and wounds another limb.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, he's prey.
So you're saying that we've got to be the bulldog.
Yeah, we got to be the bulldog or the wolf pack.
We got one of the two.
You know, be the whole pack, and that is just nip away in little ways without stopping, and you don't allow time for healing.
That's good.
If it's an
I see.
attack metaphor, that's kind of an
good.
angry metaphor.
Yeah.
But you don't allow time for normalization again if you're trying to get something achieved. You go after it again and again nonstop until you reach the tipping point where it's yours.
That's good. So either
Then you've
way,
got its momentum going as well as your own.
So you're talking about this tenacious attitude we've got to have, this
Yeah.
tenacious mindset. How often, I guess this is going to be truth cannon here. This is a truth cannon rolling out. How often have you seen somebody that set a goal, understands the small steps to get there, and you see that the missing factor is that tenacious attitude? I mean,
Yeah.
do you see that? I mean,
No, yeah,
What do you
yeah.
say to somebody right now that maybe does have these other 3 steps, and it's time for that 4th to kick in?
Well,
What
let's
do you
say, don't wait for it to come to you. You know, the reason people don't become tenacious is they think tenacious will happen. You know, I'm going to get me some tenacious. You got any tenacious on? You know, I'm running a little low on tenacious.
I don't
tenacity.
feel like, I don't feel tenacious.
That's
right.
right. That's the whole point. If you want to be successful, learn how to get yourself to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not, and still do it well.
Oh, can we just do
So
that
that
again?
goes
That's
to-
too much. That's just too much here. One more
Get
time.
yourself to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not, still do it well.
That's so good.
Thank you.
That's so good.
That really is the key to success. And that's why it's so important for us to learn to manage us. That's the whole Thrive Nation
Right.
underlying concept is that you can change you. You can manage your own world. You can transform your life, your career, your relationships by simply following the patterns that are already been proven by so many hundreds of others before us.
I love it. That's huge.
And tenacity is developed just like a muscle's developed.
You got to work it out.
Got to work. Well, you got to work it, and then work it out.
Okay.
You know, work it at first means engage it.
Okay.
And if it's not engaged, if you're not showing up, if you're not measuring the item,
Right.
if you're not getting the reports or checking on the outcomes or
Right.
whatever it is, not doing your follow through, then chances are good you're done.
Okay. Well, that was a little truth cannon and a little lesson nugget that you don't have to wait to feel tenacious.
Right.
So number 5 here, step number 5 is when stuck, look for a mentor to avoid mistakes.
Wow.
Why is this
When in
so
doubt,
important? Yeah.
reach out.
Why is this so important? Come back here, mentor.
Seriously, when in doubt, reach out.
Right.
Anytime you're stuck, anytime you feel overwhelmed or confused or you know, hey, wait a minute, I was doing all the things I thought I needed to do. This isn't working.
Right.
Reach out.
Okay.
Because you got the mentors here.
Yep.
And we respond directly to your questions. It's not, you know, this isn't just a one-way thing.
That Ask the Guru button.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right
Absolutely.
there as you're watching this player. If you guys click that Ask the Guru question, go check the mailbag. But I mean, today you were answering mailbag emails,
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, we did, 25 of them
Yeah,
or
we did.
something like that today.
If you've got questions, send them in. We'll answer them. Yeah.
And look for people who've already traveled the path that you're trying to travel.
That's good.
And they don't have to be in the same field as you, but they have to have dealt with the same kind of things that you're going to be dealing with.
Okay.
And just seek their advice. Learn from them. I've been a lifelong learner since about age 26.
Okay.
You know, you say, well, wait a minute, what about 26 years before that? That's part of your life. Yeah, but I was just ordinary in that first 26 years. Then I decided to become progressively extraordinary after that, and it's working.
That's incredible.
Thank you, Lord.
I love
Yeah.
it. One thing that I want to do here, I mean, we've given the 5 steps, right? And we've talked about how you've got to write it down, have a goal, write it down, and you got to have the outcome. It's got to be specific.
Yep.
Then you start looking at those specific little small steps to get to that goal.
Yeah.
You've got to, we talked about being tenacious. We talked about how with number 3, you've got to actually set a deadline. You know, then you be tenacious, and now if you're stuck, you find a mentor.
Yeah.
But I want to spend some time here looking at 3 different notable quotables. Okay, and I want you to, I'm going to read one and then have you break it down. The first one, so we're going to go, 3 of them will be one by Tony Robbins, one by Jim Rohn, and then one by Pablo Picasso. You knew Tony Robbins, no?
No, it was Pablo Picasso. He and I used to be roommates.
Oh, you and Pablo were
No,
friends.
I know Tony Robbins and I knew Jim Rohn. Yeah.
So Pablo's the only one you haven't quite met. This
Right.
one. Okay. here's
I got his T-shirt.
Yeah, I love it.
I do.
I believe it. So here we go. First, we're starting with Tony Robbins, and
Okay.
if you're not familiar with Tony Robbins, he's a best-selling author, internationally renowned business and life coach speaker. How did you guys meet initially?
In 1985 or somewhere around in there, he was holding a firewalk experience. Yes, walking barefoot on hot coals. And I signed up.
Really?
Yeah, I went to the firewalk experience in San Diego at the Marriott Hotel, out in the parking lot, of course. And they had glowing hot coals,
Wow.
a big pile of them about, I don't know, maybe 12, 15 feet
gosh.
long and about this wide. And we would each stand at the end of that and then practice the techniques he had taught us and walk the length of that path on hot glowing coals,
gosh.
barefoot,
Oh my gosh.
and survived.
Wow.
Really? Yeah, really. Look it up. I mean, we
Look it
could
up.
make this whole
Yeah,
thing
you go
about
ahead
that.
and look that up.
But,
This is-
But yeah, the firewalk experience. Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins,
There you go.
and he was a young budding guru at the time,
Yeah.
and he had been a student of Jim Rohn, among
Yep.
others, as I had, and he decided, I'll take this firewalking metaphor and I'll make that the thing. Now, when he did the seminar, he said, this was the opening 5 minutes of the
Okay.
seminar. Welcome, everyone. How many of you came here to walk on fire? He said, okay, you need to understand, tonight is not about the firewalk. This is about learning to overcome fear. So if you're here to learn to overcome fear, stay with us. If you're here just to walk on fire, please go home. You'll get hurt. So he made it very focused.
Sure.
This is about dealing with and overcoming fear.
Yeah.
And he said the firewalk is simply a manifestation of that
I love it.
because it goes against all logic, you know, and yet it works.
And and you guys, like I
Yeah.
said, very successful life coach.
Yeah.
This
so
is
he
what-
knows his stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is what he said. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into visible.
Totally.
That's
Totally.
the notable quotable. What strikes you
Well,
with this
think about it. You know, what's invisible? A thought.
Okay.
Okay, I want a 1957 Chevrolet with a 389 cubic inch engine inserted into it with racing slicks on the back and with a
Right.
tuck and roll leather interior and
Wow, this is
you know
detailed. You
whatever.
know what you
yeah,
want.
yeah. If you set a goal, get specific,
Good.
right? And I'd like it to be that beautiful stock copper color that
Right.
came out in '57, and I want it to be a hard top, you know, with the. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a real
yeah.
goal of yours. I
So,
think it's-
no, it's not. But it's a cool car.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have any use for that one, but I just like to look at them. You know, if I want that goal,
Yeah.
as long as it's in my head, it is nothing but a thought. It's never going to be a reality. When I write it down and get specific about it, when I set the goal, when I say I'm going to get that sooner or later, you know, may cost too much, may take longer than I thought, whatever, I'm going to figure out a way, I'm going to get that, then things start organizing to make that happen. But it's not tangible until I either write it down, get a picture of it, or somehow identify with serious intent that it's going to happen.
Okay. That's huge. I love that. And that's honestly all these notable quotables, obviously they tie together.
Sure.
The next notable quotable is from Pablo Picasso. If you're not familiar, he's the artist. He was the Spanish painter, sculptor, printmaker. I mean, he had it all. Poet. Right? He did a lot of different types
Go
of
to
art.
Barcelona and you can tour his
You will
museum.
see him, yes.
We did that last year.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
This is what Pablo has to say, okay? He says, our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to
Now
success.
think about this. He's
Yeah.
saying fervently act, vigorously, fervently and
act,
vigorously.
Yep, fervently believe.
Fervently believe and vigorously act.
Yep.
And he's talking about setting goals.
Yes.
He was an artist.
Yeah.
He drew pictures. He painted, he did sculptures. He was an artist. That art is so not goal setting to most people.
Right.
You know, you think, I got an impulse.
Right.
You know, color that in, I'll be back.
Yeah.
But Picasso, there's
so
a
interesting.
cool story about him. One time he was in I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
He was in a restaurant and he forgot his money.
Okay.
And so when the check came, he took a napkin and he did a drawing on it and he handed it to the server. And the server said, no, you know, I want money. Trust me, that's going to be worth a whole lot more. And it was. And it was.
That's crazy.
But
I don't think that'd work for me.
I don't think it worked for me either.
Yeah.
But if you fervently believe in something, what does that mean? That means that you honestly believe that it matters enough that you're willing to do whatever's necessary that's legal and ethical and within some kind of reason.
That's good.
To make it a reality. So if you're not willing to change you're not willing to change your world. If you're not willing to change you're not willing to change your world. You may say you are,
Right.
but until you're ready to change the behaviors or the beliefs or the patterns or the relationships or the whatever around you, then nothing else is going to change. And your goals, intended goals that never became real goals, will simply be wishes.
Wow. That's powerful. That's some truth cannon right there. I love it. The last notable quotable I have is from Jim Rohn. And you said you study with him. I mean, self-help author. I think there was Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Brian Tracy, all these gentlemen think of him as a mentor.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
He had a huge impact on society.
Well, I had the privilege of receiving the Speaker Hall of Fame Award.
That's that ring right there?
In 1985 in Washington, D.C. at the J.W. Marriott. And they bestowed 5 Hall of Fame inductions that night. And one of the others was Jim Rohn. Wow. And another one was my former partner and my current best friend, Tony Alessandro.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I didn't know Jim Rohn at the time.
Really?
I didn't.
Wow.
I mean, he was inducted, and I thought, well, why that guy?
Yeah.
And he wasn't involved in the National Speakers Association, so I didn't see much of him, but I was hyper involved in it and on the board and such. But then I took an interest in him, and I started watching some of his videos and listening to some of his recordings, and then I thought,
that's unbelievable.
dude,
Yeah.
this is my kind of guy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is what he has to say. Here's his notable quotable right here. He says, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments.
Totally.
Discipline.
Yeah, not just action.
Okay, that's good.
There's a big difference.
This is
What's
good.
the difference? I mean, look at the military, for example.
Okay.
Let's say you've got a whole bunch of people who have, they're going to be your army.
Okay.
And they're going to defend you against the marauding herds of bad guys in the world.
Okay.
And they're all skilled at various martial arts. You know, some of them are good with weapons, and some of them are good with hand-to-hand fighting, and some of them are good with strategy and all this. But there's no discipline. If there's no discipline, that means you've got like a strong finger and a strong arm.
Right.
And they don't work together.
Right.
And you got a strong foot and a strong shoulder, but not a strong back that organizes all that and makes it a useful force. So you got all these talents, but they're not coordinated because there's no discipline.
Wow.
So what do they do in the military? Training, 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 and training, and then they follow that with training, and then they put in some training in case
right
you
in
need
there?
training.
Just
And
a little
for
bit
the rest
more.
of your career, you're going to be, I'm thinking, training in everything that matters to your role in the military.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But the first training that everybody gets, that's why they call it basic training, boot camp, is discipline. They train you to follow orders so that there can be some organization and things actually get done instead of no, No, let's don't attack now. Let's vote.
I have a different opinion.
Vote. Yeah.
That's huge, though, because
it is. And they teach you how to march, and you march in unison. And someone says, left flank, march. Right. Left flank is what you're going to do, and march is the command of execution, meaning do it right this instant. So you got a big sea of hundreds of people, and someone yells out, left flank, march.
Wow.
And the instant he says march, the whole body turns to the left flank.
Wow.
That means you can move enormous numbers of people efficiently across a battlefield with one word of order.
Wow.
Yeah.
With vigorous action.
That's the difference between individual action and discipline.
That's huge.
Because it does that to your talents. It's not just groups of people.
Okay.
Groups of talents and skills and behaviors in your own life.
This is unbelievable. We started by giving the 5 specific steps to goal setting.
Yeah.
And now we've unpacked these 3 mind-blowing, notable quotables that talk about your belief, the action necessary, and the discipline that keeps it all organized. Yeah. This is amazing. I want to ask you to end by just talking to the Thriver watching right now, who's ready now. They're ready to kind of set their goals. You believe that every goal set can be achieved, but I feel like still that encouragement, we can never give enough encouragement. What do you say to that Thriver right now? He's, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to write my goals down. What do you say to that person?
I would say, first off, make sure you want the goal you set. Don't set a goal to impress somebody else. Don't set a goal that you think other people will say, is that your goal? Cool.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not about that. It's about you being satisfied with the goal. So if it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter. Don't bother with it. If it does matter to you, write it down. Write it down. Caleb just said any goal could be achieved. That's probably true, but there are certainly some goals that would be absurd to set. You know, like eliminating gravity.
Sure, that'd be tough.
Yeah, momentarily, but from Earth, I don't think that's a worthy goal.
Yeah.
So make sure it's a goal that matters and a goal that makes sense. And then never, ever, ever, ever require yourself to know in advance how to get there. Set the goal because you want it. And then start figuring out how to get there. And if you can't do it alone, well, welcome to the world, because nobody can. Nobody.
Yeah.
We all need each other.
Yeah.
And if we don't have each other to reach out to, then we are so severely handicapped as to be dysfunctional. Think of this. If your goal is to get from California to New York, you need any number of people, depending on the route you choose. You can walk, you're going to need other people.
Yeah.
You're going to need other people to help you get the clothing you need, the protection, the nutrients, the shelter, everything else. You're going to need permission because you're walking on other people's land. If you're going to drive, you've got to have somebody build highways. That's going to take a few people and a few $100 billion.
Yes.
If you're going to fly, then you've got to have airplanes created. You've got to have, everything requires other people. Everything.
That's huge. And this is why Thrive's here. So
when in doubt, reach out.
We're here for you. Reach out. There's the Ask the Guru question. If you've ever got a question, you're ever feeling discouraged, you're ever wanting help to achieve these goals, let us know, because Jim here is your mentor and we love helping you. Jim, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today.
Thank you, Caleb.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. You know, over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done this show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man. And there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
Well, I have to, first of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, "Have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "No." And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed, to the business owner, to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you, thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there, too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, "I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this."
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.